Page 29, a good day. On page 29 we get more exercise and experience with staccatos, because they're all over the place. Not all of them, the half notes are not staccatos here, but all the quarter notes seem to be. And we're back in G position, back here. And they've got flats in both hands here, so when you get the B flat, you're going to use the same finger as the B natural, just to come down here. So really you're sort of in this position. That's interesting. Plus they're introducing some new symbols for you to memorize. And it's important that you know what all these symbols are and you remember what they are. So if you're starting to forget them, please go back through and review the book, review the videos, cover it all again. Let it drill it in. Typically, if you don't have a teacher, I encourage you to go through these books and these videos 2 or 3 times to get it, to really let it absorb in. These symbols are called, well, they're dynamic type symbols. In the past, all we've had are the letters. The P and the F and an MF and whatever. Well, these arrows, sideways arrows, they're also known as hairpins. I call them hairpins. A lot of people call them hairpins. So they're telling you when to gradually change in your loudness and softness. The first one they show you is a crescendo. It's Italian again. It means to gradually get louder. And the other one means gradually get softer, the diminuendo. Well, how do you know which arrow does what? People get confused as which arrow means what. And the way I remember it is I'm reading the music in a certain direction, from left to right, whichever way we're going here. I think we're backwards here. I read the arrow the same way. So if the arrow starts at a point, and as I'm reading the music, the lines get further apart, I'm going to get louder as the lines get apart. If the lines start apart and they gradually come together as I'm reading the music, I'm going to get softer. So the point end is the soft end, and the wide end is the loud end. So in this piece, in the first line, you see those 2 arrows. The first 2 measures, you have an arrow to get louder, and the other 2 measures, you have an arrow that gets softer. Or you think, well, that's simple enough. What's the big deal? Well, it's not that simple, unfortunately. You see, the tendency is when we do these crescendos, we tend to do the loud and soft part, the changing part, too soon. So this doesn't tell you how loud to get. So just for our purposes, let's go up to F, loud. So we're going to go from soft to loud. And the loud part is the D in the left hand, the half note, and the chord in the right hand. Here, that's the loud part. Well, if I don't plan it out, I'll be loud by the end of the first measure. It'll be here. See, I'm already loud. That's too soon. So you have to plan these out so you don't get loud until the half note. You want to think going to the half note. And then the last 2 measures is the other way. Now you're going to go down, but you don't want to be soft until the half note at the end of the line there. See, like that, and the second line works the same way. So you plan these things, because these hairpins can stretch for measures. And so you think right now, how loud do I want to be where? Well, in the first measure, I'm going to stay pretty soft. And then in the beginning of the second measure, I'm going to be sort of loud. And then the half note, I'm going to be loud. There. And then coming down, I'm sort of loud. And then I'm coming down to soft. So experiment on those. Then the other thing are these staccatos. I told you there were three different techniques for staccato in the previous video. And I showed you one. It's a finger staccato. Here. In this piece of music, we're going to use another type of technique known as a wrist or hand staccato. And that is where you hinge at the wrist. And do it this. Rather than the fingers doing the work, we're going to do this. And we're going to do it in both hands. Now the idea is if you have a soft piece of music where, you know, single notes and maybe it's fast or whatever, then you're going to use finger staccato. But if you start getting chords or more than one note at a time, like in the right hand, you're playing 2 notes at a time, finger staccato doesn't work. You've got to use the wrist. And it's like playing a chord where your hand's in that position, you drop the hand. Well, here, your hand's in that position and you're using the wrist to do it. Try and get them down at the same time. So since we're going to do that in the right hand, we're going to keep it simple and go ahead and do it in the left hand, even though you're only doing 1 note at a time. You're just bouncing off the notes. So bump, 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 bump type thing. And that's what we're going to do here. Now there is a repeat sign there. We're going to play this twice. Let's play it together very slowly. Now I don't do much with dynamics in these play with me's because I don't want you totally copying me. I would prefer you do the dynamics and you speed it up to the speed it should go. One of the problems I'm having with dynamics is the electronics I'm using to record this tend to level them out quite a bit. So I have to exaggerate them in order to get them to come out right, and that I'm not comfortable with that yet. So most of my dynamics are going to be about the same. Don't let that throw you. You go ahead and get louder and softer when you're supposed to. Now moderately slow speed, that's like moderately fast. I don't know. It's to you. What is sort of slow? This happens to be a very famous melody. I actually did a piano solo arrangement of this in my other channel. You have to think about giants walking, boom, boom, boom type thing. And that's about how fast you take it. So actually about as fast as we're going to go here too. It's be the speed. But there's a note also under that moderately slow that says second time play both hands 1 octave or 8 notes lower. And what we do here is you're here to start. We're just going to pretend middle C goes down 1 octave or down to the other C. Just go down to the next C down. And we're going to pretend that is middle C. So the hands start here, then just move them down here and play it here. Like so. That's how the second time we play it. If you have a short keyboard and you don't have those notes, then you can't do that. You have to play both times in the same place. That's fine. Now, a couple minor things. One thing is when we start moving the hands around, we have to think about these hand movements, and in many cases we practice the hand movements. So when you get down to the end of the line, at the end of the second line, and you're here, hands here, and you go to repeat, you got to be down here. So you have to plan out how are you going to make those moves, because the beat has to keep going. The beat can't hesitate or stop or nothing. Well, in this piece, it helps a little bit that the first measure, the right hand isn't playing. You only have to deal with the left hand. So when you're starting out here, you're ending it here the first time, and you need to repeat and go back. You can leave the left hand or the right hand where it's at, here, and just get the left hand down here. Get it going, and then as it's playing, then you can move the right hand down. So you can move them one at a time, so it's here. Like that. So you're ready to go there. I'll talk a lot more about hand movements as we go through these because they're important. And they're not all that easy to do sometimes. So I'm going to give us 4 counts. Let's try this out. We are in G position with B flats in both hands. Oh boy. 1, 2, ready, go.